Hey, welcome to Unshaved. I'm Takesha, and this podcast came to be simply because I wanted to archive conversations between me and my mother. And because we talked about pursuing a creative project together for a long time now, I just figured starting a podcast would kind of fit the bill for both. Our lives and relationship have had many twists, turns, highs, and lows, and the way we've gotten through them always started with raw conversations. We're consistently pursuing a deeper understanding of not only each other and our relationship, but also of ourselves. If the topics and conversations explored in this space help you to navigate your journey in any way, then that's even better. So whether it's just myself or if I'm joined by my mom or other guests, you can expect content that is explorative, honest, and maybe even just a little bit outside the lines. Welcome to Unshaved. Thank you to those of you that are returning listeners, as well as to those of you tuning in for the first time. I appreciate your presence. Today I'm talking with my good friend Nicolette. We're just talking about hypocrisy to some degree, about truth and lies, how that ties in with our relationships. Well, do you think that you can lie in your relationships or just lie in general in your life and also be at peace with yourself? These are the kind of things that we toss around. Nick, welcome to Unshaved. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. I appreciate you, love. Nick and I, we go way back. And we have some really good conversations. It's always a good vibe when we get to catch up with each other. How you doing today, Nick?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So, like I told you, I was looking at some Instagram posts that you posted, and I was like, damn, this could be good conversation here. I didn't tell you exactly which post. There's a couple. So I don't know if maybe I should just read off one of the posts, or if you had a particular post that, because you don't have that many posts on your page right now.
No.
So anyway,
I'm pretty silent online. Yeah.
No worries. But the posts that you do have, I thought that they were pretty thought-provoking. So there's a quote here from Jeff Brown. It says, hypocrisy is simply a measure of how well you can lie to you. The better you are at lying to you, the bigger the hypocrite you are. Hypocrisy is a big negative bully bouncer standing in the doorway of your better self. You're not going to get better at lying to you. Hypocrisy is a disease that causes more damage to you than those you afflict with it. I thought that was pretty dope, because ever since I was very young, I was, like most children, told to be honest, don't lie, right? But with the mother that I particularly have, right?
I love her though.
And I do as well, very much so. But she definitely was lying back in the day a lot, right? And ironically, she wanted me to be very honest, and she would explain that her lies weren't good, right? And that this is probably going in a different direction than I'm intending to, but the point here, I do have a plan to kind of bring this back full circle. Okay, so she would say, like, you should be very honest, Keisha. She explained to me that lying wasn't good, and to more so take her advice rather than her example. Okay, so say we were out somewhere and we come back and my grandmother will want to know where we were. And so she is like, you don't have to lie to her. You can tell her the truth, even though she probably would have just lied to her. Right. So that's kind of the way I was raised. And so it got tricky, not for me necessarily being honest when, let's say, dating. Right. And dating is interesting within itself. It's a whole other ball game. So when you think about opening up to someone, it's like, what should I say? What shouldn't I say, or whatever? But damn, this kind of ties into another. My mind is all over the place. It kind of ties into another one of.
That's what we do.
I know, right? And you listen so patiently, and I really appreciate that.
That's what we do.
So, but it'll all make sense, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I was dating, and I was really, really just kind of disappointed with the level of honesty that people just really didn't show in communicating. Um, I don't feel like I'm the type of person that you need, I'm always like, you ain't got a lot to kick it. You know what I mean? Like, your truth is better to me than anything else, right? So my mother would be like, Keisha, I feel so bad, and maybe she felt like she did something wrong, like, because she was like, everybody's not going to be as honest as you, right? And that was something that I was struggling with. And then it just kind of occurred to me that it's kind of hard for people to be honest with themselves, right? Let alone trying to be honest with you. So I learned to stop taking it so personal. It's just like, um, maybe I can be a little intense. You know what I mean? Maybe, I'm bringing out truth that you aren't really ready to deal with yourself. And so that took some time to really, really learn. And I remember the question that I formulated to kind of gauge where people are with their level of honesty. I was just like, do you think that lying to me is any different than lying to you? And it was like, I was like, yeah, I think that would be a nice opener just to kind of see, like, do you see that there is any difference, or do you see that it's the exact same thing? Like, you can only be as honest with me as you are to yourself. And, you know, I appreciate honesty, even if, um, even if it may differ than what I would actually want. Your truth is better. I can do more with your truth than anything else. And it's just better for everybody involved. So that was why this really, really stuck out to me, this quote. What made you post it?
I actually heard Jeff Brown say this on a while watching a podcast where he's a guest on with Zoe Williams. And Jeff says the most profound things. And I posted it because it really hit home, and in my own mind, I can have a conversation with myself. And in my own mind, I went a little bit deeper as into, hypocrisy is like the cousin of a lie, in a sense, like the big cousin of a lie, right? So when I thought about that quote, I'm going in a little deeper, like, okay, what is the need for being a hypocrite?
Nothing like a good monologue.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I mean, I just thought about what's the need for it, because we come across folks who portray themselves to be one thing, but there's something else, but there's something deeper, that could be discussed with that. It's like a lack of sense of self, or I really don't like who I think I am or who I know I am, but I have to portray to be something else. So I'll lie to me to make me feel more confident about lying to you.
Mm. And that's the thing, because sometimes you wonder, like, do you believe this lie that you're telling me? And that's the things that are a little blurry. I remember talking to somebody, and I was like, I get that this is where you want to be, but you need to face the reality of where you are and start from there so that you can get to where you want to be, because you're not there yet, and that's okay. But you don't have to pretend.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pretend.
Nope. I mean, but and that still goes back to a sense of self, because as I got older, the more confident I was in myself, the less likely I felt a need to pretend to be anything else. Whether I was where I wanted to be, in my own growth or not, I'm confident enough in myself to be like, okay, this is what it is.
Right, and there's
not
nothing
perfect.
wrong with it. Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't need to lie to you. Like, hey, listen, I don't have a six pack, but I'm gonna wear my clothes like I do. You know,
How you do that? I need to learn. Like you can do that.
I mean, you just, that was probably a poor example, but
No, I'm
you
messing
know,
with you. I get it. I completely get it.
but I mean, like, if there, I mean, like, just even in life period, like, listen, I have like younger people, they'll ask me different questions or ask my advice on things, and I'll be the first to tell them, like, listen, I have a little bit more experience than you, but I may not have all of the knowledge that you think I have, but I'll tell you what I know, and I can help you find out the rest. But I'm not going to sit there and pretend to be your guru.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I hope that you don't see me that way. So I'm not going to pretend with someone else to make me feel better about myself.
This makes me think of this time I was babysitting, and I think the kids might have been like 8 and 11 or something very close to that. And the older one asked me a question. And I was just like, I don't know. He's like, what do you mean you don't know? You're an adult. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm an adult and I don't know. You know what I mean? I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, do you think that adults know everything? I was like, how about that's why you should be studying this so that when you're my age and you're an adult, you will know. Okay, I can learn with you, but I don't know. We can figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know growing up, adults, like, I was taught to respect my elders.
Of course.
And as like, when we were in school, teachers held themselves up to a certain standard. They were like aliens, right? And you respected them. But it's like, as you got older and you see them later, it's like, you're a little bit of human, huh? So yeah, I get it.
None of us are super human, but the team that we have around us definitely helps us to be the best that we can be. And that makes me think about relationships and when people are in them and lying, right? And it's like, is it because oftentimes we use our relationship for like bartering, like you do this, I do that, you don't do this, I won't do that type of thing, rather than just pure experience for what it is, and what hopefully we're equally giving. Well, I don't even want to say equally, right? Because nothing is really equal when it comes to it. It's just because we don't always have the same things to give, but there should be some sort of balance where one person's not just doing everything and it's not depleted. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that with the lying, especially in relationships where you're supposed to be relating to another person, I think sense of self is certainly an issue there, right? Where you don't feel comfortable in presenting who you actually are to the person that you want to be near you, right? Because typically, I don't know, some people will say that they'll lie to someone who's close to them to protect them and maybe tell the truth to other people. They have these weird ways that when you flip flop things, try to make more sense of this and less sense of that. And it's just like, but at the end of the day, you aren't able to fully live in alignment with who you are, your truth. You have to tell this person this and tell that person that, right? And it's like, why? What are you bartering here? What do you feel like you're not on? It's not even like equal footing. It's just like full understanding. Like, what do you think that if I tell you this, what will that prevent you from doing for me? Right? And it's like, it makes me, okay, so there's another quote and I'm a little distracted because it's this quote that you have on your post. We do not possess people. We experience them. Stay present, stay mindful. Connections that are meant to last will. If they're meant to stay, they will. Right? It's like there's so much layers of fear. You know what I mean? When it comes to keeping someone in your life or in the way that you want them to be in your life. And it's like, what are we negotiating? And what are we, you know what I mean? What are you lying about? Or how fully truthful can we be in these things and still get what we want? And I think that it comes down to people feeling like they need to lie or else I'm just not going to get what I want here.
That's interesting. You say get what I want. Because I think about the need for control.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about lying to this person or lying to that and having this narrative over here, because I'm trying to create a narrative to go in a certain direction that I want it to go for my benefit, so therefore I have to control what someone else thinks. I have to control how someone else views this so that I can get a certain result for myself instead of allowing things to be what they are. you know um Sense of self, control, it's all related.
And
I
also, it's selfishness, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely
Selfishness.
selfishness. Definitely
Yeah.
selfishness. um I'm like, if you're that confident in yourself, you live in a place of truth, you won't need to control anything. You'll allow things to be what it is that they are.
And I'm
um
glad that you said that, right? Because truth also is um, something that can change for a person. My truth today may be different tomorrow as I grow and evolve and learn. And maybe that means what was true for me then, or what I understood to the best of my ability at that time, may no longer serve me. And that just goes into a whole other topic of how much are we holding on to that no longer serves us.
hmm hmm
And you were talking about sense of self,
hmm
um, a lack of sense of self. Um, there's control, and then there's also the level of selfishness, right? And we're talking about being open to an experience for what it is. I think that, I don't know if scarcity plays a role in this, like a lack. Like so many of us just are in a mindset of lack. Like there's not enough good people, there's not enough this or not enough that. If I don't cling to this person to dear life for the rest of my life, I might grow old alone. You know what I mean? Um, and I guess, when you tie it back to a sense of self, not only a sense of who you are, but that when you dig deep enough within yourself and you do the work within yourself. And this is not me saying that we don't need other people, because that is ridiculous. There is a need for human connection and relationships and things like that. But when you understand that as a person, you have to be complete within yourself, and you go attaching to other things, what are you really trying to get from that you feel like you don't already have within yourself? I remember dating and not even dating, actually being single, right? And coming to the understanding that I have a lot of love in my life. I had a lot of love in my life, but maybe wanting it to show up a certain way. And I said, before I lose my mind about what I don't have, let me focus on what I do have right now. What I do have. And I had good friends, family, loving relationships and interaction. And I'm like, if I can't be grateful for that type of love, you know what I mean? And the love that I was developing for myself, it's just like I find myself in another situation, and I'll eventually go through the same struggle all over again, because we can't look to another person for what we need to have within ourselves.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation earlier, like, not too long before we got online, talking about um validation,
Mm,
outside validation. Um and again, we can talk about sense of self, but you know, if you don't have that sense of self, you're going to look for some sort of outside validation um to come and complete you, whatever that means. um you're you'll find yourself in certain situations that you don't want to be in, because like you were stating, instead of being grateful for what it is that you have, you give energy to the negative part, and therefore you attract more energy like that.
I appreciate you for making time to listen in to this episode of Unshaved. Thank you. I genuinely hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have questions or suggestions for topics to explore, please email unshaved.podcast@gmail.com. Be sure to indicate if you'd like to be mentioned if your feedback or questions are addressed. I take it that you've enjoyed the content since you've made it this far. Depending on the platform you're hearing this on, let me know so we can really engage with one another. So drop a comment, click the star, download, subscribe, applaud, click the like button, and share this with others. Unshaved is on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can show the show some love through donations on Anchor. Last but not least, remember you can turn on your notifications so you'll know when we're back with new episodes. Till then, let's continue to live with love and light.